Isabel had always been careful, cautious with her heart, her time, and her trust. She had learned the hard way that people could be charming and kind while hiding shadows that would eventually engulf those who dared to believe in them. Yet, somehow, when Nathan appeared, he unraveled every thread of caution she had painstakingly woven around herself. It began on a rainy Thursday evening. Isabel was at her favorite cafe, the one tucked between a florist and a small bookstore, savoring a rare moment of solitude. Her hands were wrapped around a mug of chamomile tea, the steam curling into the air like delicate tendrils of comfort. The rain tapped gently on the window pane, a soothing rhythm that matched the quiet in her mind. Nathan had walked in just then. He was the sort of man who drew attention without trying, whose smile seemed effortless yet disarming. Isabel noticed him immediately, though she told herself to look away. There was something in his gaze, though warm, but intense, like he could see through the careful mask she wore. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked, gesturing to the empty chair across from her. Isabel hesitated. Strangers were meant to be ignored, or at least observed from a distance. But there was an ease about him, a way of speaking that made the world seem quieter. "Sure," she replied softly. What started as polite conversation about the weather and the best teas in the city quickly spiraled into hours of laughter and shared stories. He had a way of asking questions that made her forget herself, as if her life's details mattered more than she had ever realized. By the end of the evening, Isabel had agreed to meet him again, a decision that would prove to be the first crack in the careful armor she had built around her heart. Weeks passed. Nathan's presence became a constant in Isabel's life. They shared dinners, late night drives, and long walks in the park. He was attentive, thoughtful, the kind of partner who seemed to anticipate her moods before she even recognized them herself. Friends and family alike remarked on how happy she looked. And for a while, it was true. Isabel felt alive in a way she hadn't in years. But there were small things, almost imperceptible at first, that nagged at the back of her mind. Nathan was often vague about his work, sometimes disappearing for hours without explanation. He would brush off her questions with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Isabel told herself she was imagining things, that love often came with quirks and mysteries. Then came the night that changed everything. Isabel had stayed late at the office. Papers and reports littered her desk as the rain hammered against the windows. Her phone buzzed, a message from Nathan, asking her to meet him at a nearby bar. She hesitated, tired and wary, but something inside her urged her to go. When she arrived, Nathan was already there, a glass of wine in hand, eyes searching for her. His smile was warm, familiar, and for a fleeting moment, Isabel let herself relax. "Long day?" he asked, rising to pull her into a hug. She nodded, burying her exhaustion in his chest, but as they sat, the atmosphere shifted subtly. Nathan's hand lingered too long on hers, his gaze a little too sharp, and then he leaned closer and whispered, "I need to tell you something you might not like." Isabel's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" "I haven't been entirely honest with you," he admitted, his voice low. "There are parts of my life I've kept hidden, but I want to share them with you now. I trust you enough for that." Her stomach twisted. She had been careful to protect herself, yet here she was, hanging on his every word. "Okay," she said, trying to steady her voice. Nathan's confession was subtle, weaving truths and half-truths into a narrative that was just believable enough. He spoke of past mistakes, financial struggles, and personal demons. He framed himself as a man fighting to be better, and Isabel, empathetic and compassionate, felt her resolve melt. "I want us to be together," he said finally, eyes glimmering with a mix of hope and something darker she didn't quite recognize. "But I need you to trust me completely, will you?" And she did. She trusted him. She believed in the man he portrayed, the man who seemed genuine and fragile, yearning for love and redemption. For months, their relationship deepened. Nathan became indispensable in her life, her confidant, her anchor, her lover. He moved into her apartment, seamlessly integrating into her routines, her friendships, her world. And yet, the subtle unease remained, a quiet hum beneath the surface of their life together. Then the phone calls started. Isabel noticed it first when she picked up her phone to see a string of unknown numbers. The voices on the other end were polite but insistent, asking questions about Nathan, about their life together. She dismissed them at first, assuming it was spam or some misunderstanding. But as the calls continued, the pattern became impossible to ignore. One evening, while Nathan was out, she answered a call that made her blood run cold. A woman's voice, trembling, whispered a name, his name, and a series of cryptic warnings. "He's not who you think he is. Don't trust him, before it's too late." The line went dead before she could respond. Her mind raced. She thought about the little inconsistencies she had ignored, the vague stories, the unexplained absences. The realization settled like ice in her veins. Nathan had been hiding something from her all along. When he returned that night, Isabel confronted him, trying to keep her voice steady. "Nathan, who were those calls? That woman? What is going on?" He smiled, a practiced, soothing smile. "You're imagining things, Isabel. You've been under so much stress. Let me take care of it." But she could see it then, the flicker of impatience in his eyes, the almost imperceptible tightening of his jaw. Fear coiled in her stomach, and yet she hesitated. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust him. Days later, the truth came crashing down. Isabel returned home early from work one afternoon, only to find the apartment eerily silent. She called out, receiving no response. The door to the bedroom was slightly ajar, and inside she found a scene that would haunt her forever. Papers strewn across the floor, personal belongings gone, and Nathan gone, along with him, her savings, her jewelry, and any trace of the man she had loved so blindly. Her heart pounded, her mind spinning. The man she had trusted with everything had been living a lie. The weeks that followed were a blur of police reports, fraud investigations, and sleepless nights. Isabel replayed every moment, every word, every glance. The pieces fit together with horrifying clarity. Nathan had been a master manipulator, weaving a web of trust and intimacy only to exploit her vulnerability. Friends tried to console her. He was charming, Isabel. Anyone could have fallen for him, but their words felt hollow. She had been careful, cautious, skeptical, and still she had been deceived. She learned painfully that trust is a double-edged sword. It can bind hearts together, but when wielded by the wrong person, it can cut deeper than any betrayal. Isabel rebuilt her life slowly, brick by brick, learning to discern, to protect, and to value herself beyond the illusions others presented. Yet even as time healed her wounds, a shadow of the past lingered. Every stranger's smile, every soft, spoken word carried the weight of memory. She had loved, she had trusted, and she had been destroyed, but she survived. And in surviving, she found something precious, the unshakable knowledge that no matter how carefully she built her walls, life would always test them. Some mistakes leave scars, yes, but they also leave wisdom. And Isabel, though wounded, was wiser than she had ever been, because she had trusted him, and she would never make that mistake again.